What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about red flags in a relationship that tells you that maybe you should get out. And a lot of times, people say, well, that doesn't necessarily make a person a narcissist. That's why I didn't, emphasize narcissism because, bad relationships doesn't always include narcissistic abuse. Sometimes they're just toxic people. And who wants to be in a toxic environment? Who wants to be in a toxic situation with someone, someone who you're planning to spend the rest of your life with? So that's why I say red flags in a relationship that tells you that maybe you should get out. And those red flags includes like the beginning of the relationship, the way it was established, and how this person rushed to get to know you, how they reserved a lot of your time, how they were over available to please you and to impress you and just to make you think that, they can give you the world and everything that you want. And these things you never even knew you had an interest in. It's just something that they're kind of pushing on you. A lot of time when a narcissist pitch things at you, it's because it's the things that they like the most and they just want you to follow along and have that same taste as they do. That's why a lot of times it just goes over your head so fast because they move so fast, and it's like a sales pitch. It's like those car salesmen that speak all fast and just make everything sound so excited to just want to get into. And they know that you're going to be curious enough to be like, okay, and give it a try. And that moment that you give it a try, that's when things just start to go downhill because they never really gave you a chance to think about it and decide if this is something that you want to pursue. They just pretty much rush you into it. Again, just like a car salesman, you rush into buying a certain type of vehicle and they don't tell you about the fine print. You don't take the time out to read the fine print because you're just looking at, you know, you're just looking at the image. You're looking at how good it looks on the outside, but you don't really know what you're in for. So you just go for it. Another, red flag in a relationship is the dominant behavior and how controlling they are over every single thing. And these things are going to slowly process within a relationship as you slowly get to know them. You're slowly getting to know them, but they're moving quite fast on showing you their character. And again, you just go along with it because it all started off in the beginning with that love bombing, and that's kind of what got you to the point to where you're stuck in a situation, because they pined for you so hard. They offered you so much, they promised you so much, and you're going to always be reminded, that, well, if I stick around a little longer and I want this and I want the ring and I want the huge wedding and stuff like that. You start to tell yourself that maybe you should just go ahead on and deal with everything that comes along that's been coming along with the relationship, because what's gonna what it's gonna how it's gonna benefit you in the end. And it really not gonna benefit you, because even if you do get married, it's gonna only get worse. I mean, I done heard the horror stories about marriages with toxic partners, so just imagine if you're just in a relationship with them and it hasn't even gotten to the point of you haven't even been proposed to. Just imagine how worse it's going to be when you get married. But they're very controlling now. They're going to be worse then. And they're really not going to care about your feelings. They make changes to things that you've already established. They go behind your back. They're very sneaky. They don't tell you things about them that you should know. You end up just finding out when you question them about it. They turn it into an argument or make it seem like you're wrong because you're questioning them about stuff that they should have told you about. But of course, in the beginning, they just wanted to make themselves just look like the knight in shining armor, or just like your savior, like someone who you've been waiting all your life for. Another red flag is that they're never available when you need them to be. They're very unreliable, unavailable, unsupportive. They're never there when you need that support. And it's embarrassing because you see other couples, to where the spouse is very supportive. And then there you are, always alone or either the third wheel behind someone else's relationship or marriage because your partner is never there because they out doing God knows what, well, God knows who. So that's normally how it is. And it's like they don't want you to get that attention. They don't want you to be in that spotlight. You know, it takes attention away from them. And they don't know how to show genuine support in the first place. That's why they're never there. And when they are, even when they're pretending to show you support or give you praises or congratulate you, it's still just to show that they can do it better than anyone else. They want to take all of the recognition away from you and anyone else who wants to celebrate you and your happiness. They want to direct it all back to themselves because with toxic people, again, I'm not just saying narcissists because it doesn't necessarily mean they're narcissists. It's all about them and all about image and all about, you know, the attention that they receive. Another way that, the narcissist, another way that narcissists and toxic people, they show you these red flags about them and it kind of go over your head, is that you become uncertain about a lot. You become confused. You're in love now, or you're in love with what you wanted to be based off what they offered you in the beginning, but you never really received it. You receive bits and pieces of stuff to keep you strung along, but you're not fully and completely satisfied. You don't feel safe. You don't feel that security that you should have with your partner or in your marriage. And it becomes to where it messes with your mentality and your mental health and even your physical health because now you're not eating as you should. You're not as active as you used to be. You're depressed a lot. You don't have that get up and go. You're calling in a lot at work because you just want to sit at home and wait on these promises that this person offered you. And it's like you're gonna get it. You're telling yourself, no, they're gonna give me what they promised me. And you're really hurting yourself and setting yourself up for disappointment because their behavior is going to constantly show you that they're going to move as they please on their time. See, the whole goal was for them to make sure they get you, but they're not promising you anything. They offered you things that sound so good, you took it as a promise, but they never really promised you anything. And that's going to be one of the first things they throw up in your face when you confront them about things, if it ever comes to a confrontation between you and your partner or your husband, like, you promised me, I didn't promise you anything. That's the first thing they're going to say. Or they're going to try to, flip things around and make you seem ungrateful for what they have done, which is really the bare minimum. They could do the absolute most. They could do way more than they already have and what they did to get you. A lot of times what they did to get you was just a whole bunch of talk, just a whole bunch of hot air that just sound good, nothing. And so it's like you just become this person who's very confused. You're always in a state of confusion because you're always in your thoughts and going back and forth in your own mind as to, did I do something wrong? Because they love to make you think that you've done something wrong. They love to make you think maybe you should start questioning yourself as to why you're not receiving all these things. They're going to throw that in your face and make you think that, well, you got to think about what you've done or what you haven't done. But it's like, but you promised me all these things in the beginning, and now it's like you're telling me, but you got to do this and work hard for it. Like, that's how narcs are. And I know that in a relationship, it's a 50-50 thing. And you're willing to do your part. And you have been doing your part. But they haven't keep their end of the bargain up because they're always gone. They are never there, always unavailable. And so it's just like you love them. You fell in love with these promises, which you look at as them. But it was just that, promises. And it was just left at that. The person sat something at your doorstep, you opened the door, you picked it up, and they walked in. But those things are still there. It's just like, you never really received what you thought you were. And now you just feel so, you don't know who you are anymore. You confused of who you are when you're with them. When they're not around, it's hurting you that they're not there. You miss them. You want them. You're wondering where they're at. You're wondering, do they still love you? Because I know I done been there. And those are some of the red flags of, just being with a toxic person and being in the midst of a toxic relationship. But the thing about it is before, you know, you marry this person, if it's just a relationship, you have the chance to get out. And you don't have to go through so much if you haven't signed a dotted line and put your name on things, to where it puts you in a financial bind, you know, being on a joint contract with them, because that's going to be one of the issues you have to deal with in order to have a peaceful separation from them. Because at the end of the day, when you really decide in your mind that you want to get out of this, you're done completely. You got to sit down and write down everything that's going to kind of put you at a dead end with getting on. You got to look at the um the bumps in the road that's going to kind of slow you down from a smooth process of getting away from a toxic situation. So don't just like confront them with anger and frustration, even if you are done in your heart and in your mind, your spirit and your soul. You done with them. Don't confront them with anger because they already gonna get straight to revenge plotting and trying to get you back and stop you from leaving them, because in their mind you're not gonna just up and leave them. You're not gonna win. It's a game to them. Oh, so it's on now. Oh, so you just want to leave me? Some of them do things like that. But again, that's if you're dealing with a narcissist, especially a covert narcissist. Some toxic partners, they become very bitter and they make the separation difficult, but eventually it'll happen and you'll just be free. And you don't have to deal with, all the punishment and the backlash that's going to come from it. And some of them going to try to make your life a living hell. But another thing is healing from that toxic love bomb. The after effects from it is the overthinking of how they got you. And well, if they got me, by doing this and doing that, I kind of feel like they still owe it to me. Sometimes you're gonna even have bitter thoughts and, just overthinking on how they still owe you, especially if you have children now in this relationship. But at the end of the day, you really just want peace. You don't even look forward to those things anymore. Just get out, rebuild yourself, focus on healing and having peace of mind for you and your child or your children. That's what you want to have, you know, and, just thinking to yourself a lot. Sometimes this is going to happen after separating from a toxic situation. You're going to be thinking to yourself a lot, and telling yourself, and asking yourself, did they really love you? You know what? It doesn't even matter. Because if you got to ask yourself that and you don't really feel it in your heart, then that tells you everything you need to know. They didn't love you. They love how they can benefit from you in some kind of way. They love the image that they can get from you, that they can present out, and create this narrative of you. But they didn't really love you. If you have to constantly question yourself that and you feel that emptiness in your heart about it, then they didn't love you. You know, they like when you reach out to them when they disappear. They love that. They look for the reaction from it. They ignore you and they keep you running behind them. I remember one time when I was talking to a narc ex, and it's just like the conversation just ended, and I went back and looked at the messages, and I'm looking at how I'm the only one communicating and reaching out, and they hadn't said anything in response to me in a while, and it went over like a 12-hour period. So I kind of ended it with saying, that this is hurting me. And all I could think about is, dang, they probably just sitting back reading all of this. And I know they were, because it would tell you on Facebook that they seen it, or their profile picture would drop down, even if they didn't read the entire message. Because you're going to become long-winded when you pouring your heart out and expressing yourself to somebody who is ignoring you. That's normal. And you're being genuine about it. So of course you're going to be long when it's going to be long paragraphs. They may not read it, but they know what you're saying. They already know that you're reaching out to them in pain, and just looking for answers. But they want you to feel like you've done something wrong. They want you to start questioning yourself and punishing yourself. And you don't even deserve that. They don't deserve you, if anything. But they get the thrill. They get the thrill out of knowing that you care about them still after all the abuse and the abandonment and all of the manipulation and the brainwashing. They get a thrill out of knowing that you're still there. So they don't have to answer you. But I noticed that it's this one thing that I said that gave me the response to let me know that they didn't want to lose that good supply. And that is when I said, how about, I bring you your things and I'll come and get mine, and we can just end it at that. Because I know what I want, and this is not, what I want. This was not my idea of a relationship. I should not feel this way. And no one else is responsible for your feelings, but to a certain extent, we are responsible for people's feelings depending on how we treat them. Now, with, certain individuals, narcissists and stuff, it's like they are very emotional, and they just create these feelings that comes out of entitlement. They feel like if you're not constantly giving them what they want, then they just gonna fall off in their feelings and make you responsible for not just spoiling them. And they don't even deserve that kind of treatment. But that's the only time that I really got a response. Oh, the phone was ringing then after ignoring me for almost 2 days straight. Like, what are you talking about? I was working. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter if you were working. You could have taken the time out to respond to me. It's like, first of all, why did you just up and disappear? Let's take it all the way back to that, first of all. Not about the working thing, because you've worked in the past and had time to communicate and check in with me throughout the day, or just like what couples do in relationships. So don't even try that with me. Like, don't even use that. They try to hurry up and catch themselves like, okay, do I really want to lose this? No, I don't. Let me hurry up and call and straighten it out, and salvage what I can so far, because I got her where I needed her to be so far. That shows them that you're not gonna easily get over them. And only evil people think that way. Like, who does that? That's evil. Who does that? Be very inconsiderate. Even with love making, they're inconsiderate. They're very self pleasing. It's all about how they feel in bed. Sometimes they do enough to please you, to keep you there, and then when it comes to them just up and disappearing, they found new supply or whatever, it's like they want you to think about it. That's a punishment. They're taking that away from you. Very seldom that happens, but a lot of times the love making, the sex with you is very self pleasing. They don't care about how they treat you in bed. That's why a lot of times it probably hurts. It's discomfort because they don't respect you. So that's all I want to really talk about in this video. Is like, if you see these red flags in a relationship, then maybe you should think about getting out, because you deserve better. You deserve so much more than this type of treatment in a relationship.